الآن يمكنكم المشاركة في مبادرة الأيام الرقمية تحت شعار انطلق بقوة مع جوجل، والتي يتناول فيها خبراء جوجل عناوين جديدة أسبوعيا مثل السحابيات، مهارات من جوجل، أندرويد، فلتر، ذكاء الآلة، فايربيس، ديزاين ثينكينج، مقسمة إلى دورات وورشات عمل يومية بالإضافة إلى مسابقات أسبوعية. شاهد الأيام الرقمية مباشرة على اليوتيوب وشارك رأيك وأسئلتك مع خبراء جوجل، واحصل على شهادة حضور في كل محاضرة تشترك فيها. هذا وأكثر من الأحد إلى الخميس ابتداء من الساعة 9 بتوقيت دبي عبر الرابط المبين youtube.com/gdgmena.
I was muted. So hello everyone, hope you're doing well and you're in good health. So today it's my fourth session about RxJS for beginners. The topic today is a little bit advanced, but last time we went through RxJS subjects, we went through the basics of RxJS and RxJS operators. And I think at this level, we can hit the next topic and see some real-time use cases of RxJS in Angular. Okay, so Angular is the application. My application is written in Angular, and it's the sample I'm going to use. So I will show you today healthy recipe using Angular and RxJS. But before we start, let me just introduce myself. My name is Lamis. I'm a GD for Angular. I'm senior software engineer based in Tunisia. I've been into Angular for the past few years. I'm a member of Women Who Code community and Women Who Code Frontend. And I'm a Not-Zero ambassador recently. And yeah, so besides, I'm a speaker, mentor, trainer, and a content creator. And this is the disclaimer before we start. So all food pictures here in this presentation are purely made for aesthetic purposes. So it does not reflect any of the Angular RxJS concepts described in these slides. So don't try to make like a relation between the food picture and the RxJS concept, because there's no relation. Okay, so let's move to the first topic, which is bulk operations. And the definition of bulk operation is the fact of running parallel network requests at the same time. So here I have to mention something important, that in my front end I have an Angular application, so my front end is written in Angular. And the backend is a RESTful backend. Okay, so I have a RESTful API, and I just consume those APIs in my front end. Yeah, so this is like the prerequisite for all the recipes. And when I say bulk operation here, it's the fact of calling multiple requests at the same time. Okay, and it's a use case that we can like experience when we implement web applications. Okay, so here is the UI. Okay, here is my UI in the left side, and I have on the server side my back end. Okay, which is in my right side, sorry. And here I have an event, and when I click on this event, I am going to trigger like multiple requests at the same time. Okay, so this is where the bulk will happen. And a concrete use case for bulk operation is the upload, or let's say massive upload. Okay, imagine that you have in your interface, in your user interface, many files to upload. Okay, you don't want to call your upload API every time you upload your file in the client side. So here is the upload of API, but instead you want to like do it in one shot because you have like multiple files to upload, okay? Or maybe the API is like accepts a list of files. There are many use cases, okay? So given that, let's say that you're going to like call it multiple times, and to call only one time your service, okay, instead of calling it multiple times. So here, what we will need some ingredients, and I have the fork join, the finalize, catch error, and a custom functions. Those are the ingredients for you in order to achieve this. And let's start with the fork join operator. Okay, so if you attended the RxJS operator session, I like explained the categories of operators available in RxJS, and fork join falls under the category of the combination operators. Okay, so you're like joining many values from many observables. So let's see the execution of the fork join operator. So here I have 3 observables. So just the fork join takes into Premiere a list of observables, okay? And I have this is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. And the fork join will emit only one time the last value of each observable. Okay, so here the last value of the first observable is E, and then the observable completes. This is the completion of the observable. The next time, the next observable here completes at this level. Okay, and here I have G is the last value, and here at this level I have 4. So the fork join will emit only one time when all the observable complete. It will emit the last value of each observable, which is EG4. Yeah, so I call fork join a severe operator, okay, because it emits only one time, and it's at the end of the execution at the end of the execution of, let's say, at the completion of all the given observables in Premiere. So this is the first thing that you have to keep in mind. The second thing is that fork join respects the order. Okay, so even if you have like, so even if you the second observable, or let's say this one. Okay, so focus here. We have the third observable in the list. The third observable completed the first one. Okay, and then we have the first one, and then we have the second one. Okay, so even though the third observable emitted the first, the fork join emitted this value the last, because it's not in the order. We gave this, and then the third one. So it only respects the order, first in, first out. So keep this also in mind. Now, this is the explanation of the fork join operator. And now let's see how we're going to use it, a code snippet. So I have here an example written in Angular. So here I have the upload service, which is the Angular service responsible for uploading my documents. And I have a method, which is upload file, that takes into Premiere the file to upload. So I'm going here and it returns an observable. So I'm going here to create the first observable and the second observable respectively. Okay, and as I can see, so here is the a signature of my function. I have the upload file that takes the file to be uploaded and returns an observable which contains the file status. The file status is whether the file was uploaded successfully or an error has happened. Yeah, so here you will find like two observables, and I will call the fork join operator and giving it as a parameter the list of observables. So as you can see here, there is an array of 2 entries, which are my created observables here. Okay, but here again, keep in mind, so this is how we can, this is a basic example, but in real life, in a real world application, you don't know how many observables you have. Okay, you don't know how many files you have. In some situations, the files are dynamic, so you don't know how, or maybe the user will upload the file, so you don't know how many files the user will upload. So in this case, okay, don't worry, you will have to just put the files in an array and then map over this array and create an observable, create a list of observable, and you will just dynamically pass the list of this observable to the fork join. So between parentheses, this is a basic example, and in a real world scenario you can do, or you can use this method. Yeah, so here we call the fork join, as I mentioned, and then just using the result, okay, of the as we know, fork join emits only one value at the completion of all the observables, and then it completes. Okay, it's a severe operation, just one time, and then it's yeah, it's dead. So so here I'm just writing files uploaded successfully in this case, and here is the result. And in the result, you will find respectively the file status of each past observable. Okay, respectively, of course, because it respects the order. So you can see here the last status of the first file, and then the last status of the second file. So far, so good. So here is the first example. But what happened if an error happens, okay, or an error occurs during the process? We should always handle errors, and yeah, in every program. So you should like treat the happy case and the error case. So here we only handled the success callback, okay? But for the error case, what we should do? For the error case here, if we have an error during the process, if, for example, the upload file method throws an error, then nothing will be emitted. Okay, so don't be surprised here, because this is the third thing you should know about the fork join. When an error happens, or one of the observables passed as a parameter, like the first request or the second request dollar, throws an error, then the fork join will complete, okay, and it will no longer emit values for you. And this is not the recommended behavior in web applications, because yeah, you have an incomplete program. Okay, so you want to like catch the error in order to do something, and in this case it really makes sense, because given, I don't know, maybe you have a the file is not uploaded because the size exceeded a given limit, for example, or the format is not applicable or is not supported. The user should know, okay, should know that the maximum size allowed is wherever it's X, and the format. So the format supported is this one, and the non-supported format is this one. I don't know, but the user should know why this happened. Okay, so yeah, so you will just display a pop-up or a dialogue in order to say, like, or to describe this error. This is how like we process those kind of problems. So in this case, you will not be able to like do anything. You will not be able to display the error because you don't have you don't have like, nothing is empty. You don't have a value. Okay, so what we can do here is use the catch error operator, okay, in order to handle errors. And where we can use it, we can use it inside the past observables. Okay, so as you can see here, first request dollar is the observable that I am going to pass to the fork join. So I can like just use the pipe function, pipe the observable, use the catch error operator, and do something on error. Okay, so here I have the error, and once I have the error, I can return another observable and wrap this error inside this observable. And this is like a good technique in order to make the stream alive. Okay, so I want to make this stream alive, so I will return another observable to the fork join to make, yeah, to keep the fork join stream alive. Okay, and here when you wrap the error, you have to wrap the error with the adequate status. Okay, so here you have the status, for example, I don't know, there's an error. You want in the file status object, you can just put a specific error in order to differentiate then between the successful case and the error case. So yeah, so this is the idea behind. Okay, and this way, okay, so this way you will like the fork join will not complete because there is in a live observable there is in a live stream there, and it will complete, it will like emit value when all the observable completes. And you can here at this level, let's come back here, just test on the result and handle the case, yeah, based on the returned result, okay, which is the successful or the error case. Okay, and here we go. So now we handled the happy case, we handled the error case. Now what if we want to handle the progress of the files to be uploaded? Okay, or in other words, track the progress of my files. Okay, because as I said, fork join emits only one time, but you will need for sure, if you use this operator, you will need for sure to track the progress, to intercept at the completion of each given observable in order to do something. And here is an example. Okay, here's a concrete example in the upload, which is like, yeah, I want to track the progress. I want to know the progress of the files to be uploaded. So what we can use here is the finalize operator. And the finalize operator is very useful when we want to intercept the completion of the observable. Okay, so when the observable completed, okay, we can put here the side effects that we want. On finalize, I just want to calculate the progress percentage in order to display it to the user. So I just do the finalize operator and put my custom function there. And then, yeah, and here is the like a simple function, nothing fancy, in order to calculate the progress. Yeah, and then this will return to the user. And yeah, you can like you can use this for every past observable. Okay, so at every time this will get called, and yeah, you will track the progress respectively after each completion of each observable. Okay, so Yeah, so I think this is the example. This is the basic example of a bulk operation, and what we need if in a bulk, if I want to sum up, is like handling the happy case, handling the error case, and putting a side effects. And I want to do all those. I want to implement all these specifications in a reactive way. So when you use the fork join, you will just like pass your observables as streams to the fork join operator, register callbacks using the finalize operator, and handling the errors using the catch error. And like you can, this way you can handle this use case with like the lowest cost. As you can see, some few lines of codes and you're done. Okay. And regarding the fork join, keep in mind that it's a severe operator. It only emits one time and then completes. It emits when it emits. It emits when all the past observable complete. So at the completion of all the observables, it returns the values in an array, respectively in the given order in the parameters. So it respects the order of the array given as input as a parameter. And what else? What we said? Yeah. And when an error happens, then it will complete. So you have to handle the error. Okay. So this is a reactive way of implementing the bulk operation in an Angular application. Let's move to the next recipe, which is caching HTTP requests. Well, so let's explain here the use case before we jump right into it. So suppose we have like Angular components. I have multiple Angular components, and I have an Angular service, which is my recipe service, and I have in there my recipes dollar, which holds the list of recipes. Yeah, it's an observable which holds a list of recipes. So what we recommend actually is injecting this service in your Angular component. If you like want to use this recipes dollar, what you will do, you will inject the service, the recipe service in your Angular component, and then subscribe to this observable in order to get the list of recipes. Okay, so if this recipes dollar calls an HTTP calls an API which will run an HTTP request consequently, then you will have every time like you will subscribe to it, you will get this HTTP request going to the server. And yeah, if you have like many components, you will have many calls to the server. Okay. And you will see here double calls to the server if you inspect your network. So what we can do here is caching this this result. Okay, we can cache this result in order to use only one call to the server and choose the result among all the components. Okay, so what we need in order to achieve this, we need the cherry play and catch error operators. And here, let's start by breaking down what's happening at the level of this service here. So here we have the healthy recipes service, which is an Angular service. I have here my recipes URL, which is the URL of my backend service. Okay, that will fetch the recipes for me. And here I have my recipes dollar, which is the observable that will hold the rest of recipes. And here I have my call. I am using the HTTP client API in order to get these recipes and to call the recipes URL, and then I'm doing a pipe and catching the error and calling a custom function in order to process the error. Okay, so I won't like to. So here is the HTTP object, which is of type HTTP client. And the reason why I like put this, because this is a recommended pattern, which we call the declarative pattern. Yeah, in order to like expose, let's say, your data as streams. Okay, so when you have your data as streams and you expose the data in your services, then you will be able to leverage the reactive paradigm in your Angular applications, because you will be able to manipulate the data as streams in every services and to do some combinations, etc. So you will have more flexibility manipulating the data streams. Yeah, so this is a recommended pattern I want to shed light on. Yeah, so here is the recipe store, which will collect the recipes as stream. And I will inject the this healthy recipe service in my Angular component in order to display or do whatever treatment with the list of recipes. Yeah, so here, as I said, if you inject this in 3 components, you will get 3 calls to the server. Okay, and when the list like of recipes is like static, let's say, given some parameters, or you don't want like to recall the servers every time, and you have an observable and you want to share this list with all the other users. So what you can do is using the share replay operator. Okay, as you can see here, after calling the recipes URL and performing an HTTP request, then you can use the share replay operator and then catching the error. And the share replay operator is an interesting operator because it falls under the category of multicasting. And we explained last time the multicasting, the difference between multicast and unitcast. You can check out the last session if you missed it. Yeah, and multicasting is a very powerful feature in RxJS, as we explained. So here, share replay will just share the observable, the returned observable, with all the subscribers. Okay, so this way, so the first one, okay, the first subscriber will trigger an HTTP request or a server call every time I say an HTTP request, but you know what I mean. I just want to say that a request will be sent to the server. And yeah, so as I said, the first one will like trigger this call. The second one, the third, and the others will use the same result returned by the first one. Okay, so you will optimize here the number of calls, and you will like do something like caching. It's not something like caching; it's caching the result in the client side there. Okay, and this is so useful in many use cases. And you can here mention in the share replay takes as a parameter a number which stands for how many subscribers you want to share the results with. Okay, so you can even control this information, and you can do many other things, but let's keep it simple now. It's the fact of sharing all the observable observable, sorry, with all the subscribers. Okay, and you can check it. You can check this out in the RxJS official documentation in learnrxjs.io. And there are many other resources I can share with you later those resources. Okay, yeah. So this is a common technique I wanted to show you. Now let's move to the combining streams, or let's say data joining. And if you're familiar with relational databases, SQL, and all this stuff, I can like present a small analogy between the both of the concepts. It's something like yeah, in the relational database, if you want to like query tables and we need to combine information from multiple tables in order to extract a result, yeah, we can like joining the database tables and extract the information, then combine it and extract the adequate query. Okay, yeah, it's the same thing here. It's the same concept. It's the fact of like combining the data coming from multiple observables in order to do something. Okay, in order to whether decide, do some decisions, display results, do some calculations. You can do wherever you want when you combine streams. Yeah, so this is the power also of RxJS. Okay, so of observables. Sometimes people are afraid of using reactive programming, but reactive programming makes your code cleaner, maintainable, more readable, more optimized, and you can do, as you can see, you can do many things with it. You can play around it and perform many use cases in a performant way. Okay, it's performance, it's reactive, it enhances also the user experience. Yeah, so you have like small lines of codes and you have more power and more value in your web application. So yeah, so how can we combine streams? What we'll need here is a combine latest operator, catch error operator, and array destructuring technique. Okay, so combine latest, which falls under the category of combination operators also. We explained the combination operators in the second session, part 2, if I'm not mistaken, RxJS operators. And here, combine latest takes as a parameter also all combination operators takes as a parameter a list of observables, because I am going to combine, so I will need many observables. Yeah, so it takes as a parameter the list of the observables. So let's learn by example. Here we have 2 observables, the first one, the second one, and combine latest will like emit value. It will not emit only one time like the fork join. No, it will every time one of the observables provided in the list emit a value, combine latest will emit automatically. So here we have the first observable emitted A, the second one emitted 1. So we have here A1. So the combine latest will return for you the last value emitted by the first observable and the last value emitted by the second observable, okay, in one shot. If you have 3 here, you will have obviously 3 values. Now at this point, okay, so this is the time, okay, this is the marble diagram, and for those who are not familiar with it, so this is the time here, this is the completion, and those are the values emitted by the observable. So here at this level, okay, the first observable emitted B, emitted this value, and at this time, the second one did not emit anything, okay? The last value emitted by the first one is 1. This is the last value emitted, no value here. So the combined latest will return the last value of this one, which is B, and the last value of this one, which is 1. So it will be B1. Now, as we go here, we have the second observable emitted 2. So I have to notify my subscribers. There is a new value emitted. So it will emit 2, but the combine latest will check if the other observable emitted something. So nothing is emitted here, so it will return the last value. So still here, the last value is B. So it will be B and 2. And here it's the same thing. I have the value 3. And at this level, nothing is emitted. So the last value is still B. And here, the last value is 3. So it will be B3. And so on and so forth. So the idea is that combine latest should notify always the subscribers by the next value emitted by each observable. Okay, so every time an observable emits one value, it will check if the others emitted something. If not, it will like emit the last value. So the subscriber should always be notified at every single time of emission of the last values emitted by the observables. Okay, and this is very useful. This is why like it's called latest, combine latest, always the latest value. Okay, this is very important when we want to display for our users the last value emitted by the observable. Okay, the last news. For example, I don't know, for my case here, recipes, I have a rating for each recipe. I want to be notified if there's a new rate, if there's a new note or a rate for my recipe. Okay, or there's a new like for my recipe, the number of likes, for example. I want to know every time. So yeah, so we can use it in those kinds of use cases. And here I have an example. If I have a mock data service, it's a mocked service, just here to explain in my sample. And I have here my recipes and my reviews. Sorry, here it's not albums. It's recipes. Okay, it's like it's a small mistake. So here I have recipes and I have reviews, and I want like to display the latest reviews for my recipe. If my recipe gets a new review, I want to just display it and to increment the number of reviews and like to display it for the user. So so I will like here call the APIs for recipes and for reviews. There is a separate APIs in my backend, and this is like also this is a the use case for the combined latest. Sometimes those kind of information are combined in the same backend service, and sometimes they are in different backend services. Okay, in different APIs. So you have to call the APIs, put them in an observables. And then combine them in order to get the latest value. And I just use the combine latest. I give the list of arrays here, and the list of elements in the array, which are here. I have an array of 2 elements, the recipes and the reviews, and I using the pipe operator, I map the values and do something after both recipes and reviews have emitted something. Okay, and this is what I tried to show you in the previous slide. And here, what you can see here, it's the array destructuring technique here. It's ES6 for those who don't know. Yeah, it's the fact of like putting the value in, or you have an object and you want like to extract it in an array, or yeah, so you can here use the array destructuring technique, and you will have, I have here like 2 arrays, an array of recipes and an array of reviews, and I can perform whatever treatment I want here in order to play with those values to display a relevant information for the user. So keep in mind this mechanism. It's very important, and it will bring more value to your UI. Now let's move to the memory leaks. So it's good doing all this and playing with the stream, combining, doing many manipulations, but don't forget especially when using with Angular applications, don't forget to manage the memory and to avoid memory leaks, because when you subscribe to an observable, it's a cost, it's a reference in the memory, it's an object allocated, there is a memory allocated for this observable. So if you don't kill it, then destroy it and subscribe to it, then you will have some kind of memory still still referenced there. Okay, and this will harm the performance or the runtime performance in your browser, because when you have like many observable, this will increase every time. Okay, so how to avoid memory leaks is by managing the unsubscriptions from those observables. And what we need here, the async pipe, take until first, take last, and last operator. So here we have like the first solution is let Angular manage the subscription for you and the unsubscription, okay, respectively. So here, this is an example. This is the async pipe in Angular. If you're not familiar with the async pipe, the async pipe is like a reactive pipe in Angular. First of all, it manages the subscription for you. So here it will subscribe automatically to the recipes dollar. And best of all, it manages the unsubscription for you. So if this component will get destroyed, okay, in the Angular lifecycle components, then the async pipe will like trigger the unsubscription from this observable. Okay, so this like very good and very healthy. Okay, you can use, if you're using the observable in the template, then just use the async pipe. It will manage the unsubscription and the subscription for you. Second solution is let RxJS manage the subscription for you. Okay, and here there are some kind of operators that complete immediately after doing something. Okay, so you have here the take while, take last, first, and last. Those operators do their job, and then complete. Okay, so it's healthy also to use them, because I don't manage the unsubscription, and they will destroy and release the memory for me. Okay, and an example is take, for example. So here you can see that I'm using the interval operator. I explained this operator in the RxJS operator session. Okay, so here I will emit a value every 1 second. Okay, this observable will emit a value in 1 second. So I said that, okay, I want to take only 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then don't emit anything after that. And this, what will happen here is that this observable will emit for you 5 values, as you can see here in the output, and then it will complete, and I track the completion to make sure that it has completed successfully with the finalize operator I showed you in the first bulk operation use case. So I'm using the finalize operator, and you can use it whenever you want to like trigger the completion, or maybe to make sure that it has completed and it's fine and I don't have to worry. So I'm doing this always. So I'm just here login completed, and as you can see here, it's completed. So the idea is that those operators do some job and then complete. So before, if you like, you want to use or manipulate some observables, and you want to manipulate those observables in the Angular components, not in the templates. Okay, in the templates you can use the async pipe. In the components now, or any other TypeScript code, you can simply use those kind of operator if it makes sense to use them. Third solution is looking further, so you can see some libraries that I recommend. Until Destroy, which will manage the destroy for you automatically from the Angular components. There is RxAngular also, which is a good library that improve the performance of the Angular rendering process, the change detection, etc. And it manages also the unsubscription for you, so you can check this out. Or you can do it yourself. Okay, so here is a sample. You can manage the unsubscription for you. I gave an example in the Angular component, but you can like do the same thing outside. Okay, whether you're using Angular or not. So here I have an observable. I'm using an observable in my template. So I am just which is the stream dollar. So here in the ng on init, I am just saying that, okay, I am going to use this observable, but until, okay, which is take until here operator, until this observable is destroyed. Okay, and then I hit subscribe in order to subscribe it, but I am saying that, okay, use this subscription until this destroy dollar observable is completed. So when this destroy dollar is completed, then this subscription also will get completed. Okay, and this is what take until operator does. So, and then the destroy dollar, which is a subject in my case, I am using it as a subject in order to next a value. I can like next a value and trigger the completion of this observable whenever I want in the life cycle. Okay, so you can here just to next and complete. I am doing this in the ng on destroy. You can use it in wherever event you want. It depends on your use case and on your application. So yeah, so here also you can simply just use unsubscribe, and keep in mind that if you have some merged or combined streams, you can call the unsubscribe on the result of merge. Okay, and RxJS will handle the unsubscription from each observable. So suppose that you have 5 or 6, or you have a dynamic list of observables, so you can't like do unsubscribe for each one. You can just do the unsubscribe on the result of the merge, and you're done. And yeah, so I'm going to like to present a detailed talk about the memory leaks in Angular, RxJS, etc. With the Angular missions, with the Angular community. So you can just register here. You can check out the Angular community, Angular missions, to get notified about the exact date and time. Now let's move to sharing data, which is the fact of sharing data between components. And here we will need the behavior, subject, Angular servers, observable, and an update function. And my use case here is that I have my Angular components. I have C1, C2, C3, C4, and I have a data that is shared between all the components. For example, C1 update this data and the other ones consume, or maybe they all update and consume the same data. So I want to share this data in order to make it accessible for all those components. So what is the best use case here? So the best use case here is if you show me this, I would say that your application is maybe subject to state, so you can maybe you have to consider a state management solution, and NGRX for Angular, Redux for the others, for React. The Redux is the specification. There are many implementations, but in Angular there is NGRX. In React there is another equivalent, but always it falls under the category of Redux templates. But however, this I want to say this because yeah, you have to like consider the solution, okay, somehow, and to justify whether you want to go to your application is subject to state and you want to go to some state management solution or not, okay. Yeah, but if you don't want to go or your application is not subject to state, okay, then you can use the behavior subject in order to do this. Okay, and here you have an example. I have here my healthy recipe service. I have a behavior subject, which is my selected recipe. So suppose that I have a list of recipe, and when the user clicks on one recipe, then other components should display the selected recipe. Okay, and there are separate components. So I want to share the selected recipe with all the components. So the resource to be shared here is my selected recipe. So what I am going to do, I will just create a behavior subject that will hold this shared data. Okay, in my case, it's selected recipe. And I'm going to extract an observable from it, which is the selected recipe dollar from this behavior subject. And here I have a method which is update recipe that will be called every time the recipe is updated. Okay, and whenever the recipe is updated, I am going to call next on the selected recipe behavior subject and pass the updated value, the most recent value of recipe. Okay, so what's the importance of doing this? This one because the behavior subject will hold every time the last value of recipe. Okay, so every time the behavior subject will have the latest value of recipe. So if you subscribe to it, then you will get notified systematically about the latest value. So here, as you can see here, I am updating the recipe in here in my when I click on your recipe, but wherever you can do it wherever you want, and then you just subscribe to this one, to the selected recipe dollar, and you will get notified about the latest recipe. And this is a very powerful mechanism. Okay, even the state management libraries use the behavior subject in order to achieve or to share the data in the common state. So yeah, so this is the sharing data recipe. Now let's move to the real-time using WebSockets. And yeah, so this is, let's say, an advanced topic. I gave with MENA some a topic around real-time using WebSockets with RxJS, which is so detailed. But I want to show you that even with real-time, even if you want to process real-time updates and async, okay, RxJS holds asynchronous streams everywhere. So yeah, even with real-time, it's possible with WebSockets to consume real-time data using RxJS. And all that you need is the WebSocket subject and an Angular service. And here is the WebSocket subject, how you can call or how you can create the WebSocket subject. You can just use the factory function, which is WebSocket used in RxJS. Pass the URL of your WebSocket endpoint, and you can do many customization when intercepting the opening of the observable, the closure, deserialization of streams, and all this stuff. So yeah, it's a very important subject, and I spoke about it many times. In my GitHub repository, I have two repositories of real-time sample with Angular and RxJS, and I have which is ng real-time dashboard, and I have ng real-time dashboard NGRX. It's a version with state management, and I have a detailed article, international JavaScript blog. It's accessible and free. I spoke about it in many conferences, RxJS Live, NG Spain, Front-End Law, and many others. So yeah, so you can check one of my talks there, and yeah, get like informed about the how you use it, the available features, and all the stuff in depth. Okay, but just at this level, I just want to inform you that yes, it's possible to do it through the RxJS WebSocket subjects. So check this out. Yeah, so those were my recipes. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for having me. And if you have any question about one of the recipes or other things, you can reach me on Twitter. This is my Twitter, Lamis Chebbi. You can check out my GitHub repository, my Medium articles. You can reach me out on LinkedIn also, or just email me on my chebbi.lemis@gmail.com email. Yeah, so if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask. And I'm waiting now also for your questions. So let's move here to the YouTube channel. And let's see if I have some questions. Well, there's no questions as I saw. I have to just go a bit further. مساء الخير. First one, can you explain the difference between a map and for each and when to use them? Well, okay, so this is not like related to the topic here. It is not related to the Angular and RxJS topic, but I will explain. I think that you're pointing out the map and for each for JavaScript arrays. Okay, so the difference is that for each execute a provided function when you call for each on arrays. For each will call a provided function for each element of the array, and it will not return anything. Okay, for each returns always undefined. So if you have to perform a treatment for each element of the use case, you can use for each element of the array, you can use for each. But keep in mind that you will not get anything in return, and you can mutate the array inside the for each. Okay, so you can call the array and change the values inside the array from the for each. Okay, so it's immutable. The map function will execute a provided function for each element of the array and will return a new array of the executed result. Okay, so map, the difference that map returns something, for each does not return. In map, you cannot mutate the original array. In for each, you can. If you, for example, you have an array of 1, 2, 3, and you call map, and you want to execute a function that will multiply by 2 the elements of the array, so you'll get a new array which will display the multiplication in each element. Okay, it will return a new one, but the original one will stay as it is. For each, for example, it will, as I said, will return undefined, will return nothing, and you can mutate the object in itself. So I always use map in my use cases because I want a new array. I want to do some manipulation, but if you only want to iterate over the elements to do something or to check, then you can use for each. But keep in mind that for each is slower than map. Map is more performance. So this is the other difference. And you can use like personally, I recommend to use the like if you want to do a calculation and return a new array, then use map. If you want to find a value, then use find. If you want to, I don't know, find the index, you can use find index. You can use, there are many useful functions provided in the array interface. that you can use. And if like your use case does not fit in any of those available functions, or you want to use like to process or to iterate over the elements in order to do something, then this is the last choice would be for each. Hope it's clear. Can you suggest a full tutorial for Angular Internet Explorer? Where to start? And why Angular and not just React? I don't understand IE. Do you mean Internet Explorer? I don't know. But yeah, where to start? Yeah, I recommend the Angular.io. So Ahmed, I recommend Angular.io as a start. It's a good start, and the sample in the Angular.io documentation is very explained, and you can find an example of code in StackBlitz. So in the Angular.io documentation, you can find links to the StackBlitz, and you can go there and play around it and see the code and see the execution, and do the same in your local machine. So it's a good start. So here is a good resource for you. I always recommend this for my students and for everybody. Why Angular and not just React? Look, Angular is makes you able to do a full development story. Okay, Angular is a platform. It's not a framework. Platform is the framework plus tools. There is the Angular CLI. You can like use the Angular CLI in order to create the project, to boost productivity, to execute unit tests, to execute end-to-end tests, to deploy the application, to deploy it on cloud, to serve the application. You can do many things with the CLI, linting, okay, and all this stuff. So this is the tooling. The tooling is so important. And also, that's why it's a platform. React is just for me, it's just a library. Okay, comparing to Angular, you can find the tooling, and there are many features in Angular that makes the life easier for the web developers. For example, the injection of services. You can inject services in your UI components, in your Angular components, manipulate them and use them. Angular do the stuff for you, so you will focus on your business logic, on your UI logic, on your backend logic, and Angular will do the stuff for you. So this will boost your productivity. The change detection mechanism is so good in Angular. Sometimes maybe there are some performance issues, but with the latest version, I always recommend the latest version with Angular, okay, because there are many updates and many improvements every time. So you can the change detection is so good in order to handle like the changes in all your component, and it will improve the user experience for you. It will do the job for you. Okay, so yeah, you will like I don't want to say get rid, but it will help you in order to handle those kind of things. I don't know. There are many utilities in the templates, etc. It's very used, it's very used, and it's very helpful. And the community behind is so powerful. And you can see many resources in the internet. You can see many content in conferences, many free content everywhere. There is a dev tools. There is developer tools in the browser with the latest versions of Angular that can make it easier for you debugging and dealing with errors, etc. So those are like the advantages of using Angular. I hope I answered your question and it makes sense for you. Good evening for you. Good evening again. Same question. I don't know, but I should. I answered it already. So here, How can I register? I can't read the red text. Very good session, however. Thank you. Thank you, Muhammad Ahmed Ali. Thank you, Nawel. Thank you, Rafiqa. Thanks a lot. So yeah, I think I answered all the questions. Hope that may make sense for you. And if you have any question or any feedback or wherever, you can reach me on Twitter. So here is my Twitter account or LinkedIn or yeah. Thank you very much for having me. Hope that was useful. And just play around RxJS. It's a very good library, and there's the version 7, which was released lately. So use it. It's so worth. It's so worth it. Okay, so yeah. So play around it, and if you have any feedback, any suggestion, improvement, or problem, you can reach me out, and I will try to answer whenever I have time. Thank you very much. Bye.